Now I want to go on a little bit of a wee rant about hobbies, because there is a growing issue with hobbies that has been gnawing at me for a little bit, and it's that hobbies are becoming far too expensive. And as hobbies increase in cost, they become less enjoyable for a lot of people because it causes more strain on them, and it becomes more exclusionary because people simply get priced out of their hobbies. Now, you may be thinking this doesn't matter, it's just a hobby, grow up, move on with your life. I get that. There are many hobbies that individuals can have. But over the last couple of years, I would say maybe 5, 6, 7 years, it seems as though people have become more plugged in, and there's a growing expectation that everybody needs to be up to date and informed about every single horrible thing going on in the world. Hobbies allow us a way to escape from that. They give us an excuse to say, I'm not going to pay attention for 2 hours, for 3 hours. I'm going to go watch videos about mechanical keyboards. I'm going to go watch videos talking about sneakers or watches or video game systems or whatever it may be. And that gives us that little bit of a recharge, that ability to unplug and just move on for a couple of hours, not be concerned with any of the garbage that's going on in the world. And I think people losing the ability to enjoy those hobbies, the things that they truly enjoy, is kind of a bummer, because it is really important for people to have hobbies, have something that they can enjoy that's just unrelated to everything else in the world. So I figured what better way to address this than discuss doomy and gloomy reasons about why I think this is occurring, why hobbies are becoming so incredibly expensive, prohibitively expensive in some cases. And I'm not getting political at all. I'm just pointing out a bunch of issues that I see. You may view them as political. I'm not making any political statements about them. I think there are multiple factors that are leading to this issue. The first one being prolonged low interest rates on savings accounts. You may be thinking, how does a low interest rate on a savings account lead to a run on mechanical keyboards? I think there's a direct correlation. Let me explain. If you have $100 sitting in a bank account and you are earning 0% interest, which essentially you are right now, and let's say inflation is nominal at 3%, that means that today you could buy $100 worth of goods. In 1 year, you have lost 3% of your purchasing value. That's what the 3% inflation means. So you could buy $97 worth of goods in 1 year. So by having low interest rates, that is driving people or pushing people or incentivizing people to spend their money today as opposed to saving it to spend it tomorrow. And because of this, this leads to an increase in demand because now everybody is saying, crap, I gotta buy stuff today. And that leads to point number 2, that is, inflation is devaluing money. In the last point, I said nominal inflation of about 3%. That's still pretty bad, losing 3% of your purchasing value every year. That is not what inflation is. Inflation is between 8 and more realistically around 10%. So not only are people being incentivized to spend their money today, people are actually scared, it seems. They don't want to just buy something. They want to purchase an asset that they believe will hold their purchasing power, that will hold value. That's why we see a big increase in purchases of wristwatches, because people think there's an inherent value there, that they can buy it today, sell it in a year for an inflated price, and get their money back and still maintain that purchasing power. You're seeing this with a lot of tangible assets. People want to have something physical in their hand that they believe has some inherent value, so they can sell it in the future and maintain their purchasing power. The third item is probably the most obvious, the one that everybody thinks about when you think about this topic. Why is everything getting more expensive? Why is inflation getting so bad? Supply chain issues causing scarcity. I'm not going to say why, because I don't want to have a little flag underneath my video on YouTube saying, I can't even say why it would be there. Over the last 2 years, there have been shutdowns for a very specific reason. if you catch my drift. And because of the shutdowns, there has been a decrease in supply. Let's assume for a second that demand remained consistent. Demand remained consistent. The amount of items available decreased. That means there is no longer sufficient supply to meet demand. How is that corrected? Prices increase so that the supply-demand curve, is that what it's called? It's been years since I've done economics. Supply-demand curve intersect again. As prices increase, demand decreases. That's not what happened, though. Demand increased and supply decreased because you had people who need to get their money into something. They are desperate to spend their money on something because inflation is growing and their money is earning 0% in savings. And you throw on top of that stimulus checks. People are just saying, yeah, I got to spend some money. So demand increases, supply decreases. You get an even bigger shift in prices. Fourth, this one really grinds my gears. Flippers are buying up stock. All of these other things really irritate me. They make me very, very angry. But this one is easier to target my anger because it's actual individuals doing this intentionally. They are going into stores, they are going onto websites, and they are directly impacting the enjoyment of these hobbies. If you don't know what a flipper is, if there is an item that is low in supply, if it's a limited edition, if it's anything, there are flippers that will go in, buy as many as they can, turn around and sell it online. And there are enough flippers here that they are able to actually impact the amount of supply that's available. You see this a lot with the consoles. There are entire Twitter accounts dedicated to helping people actually find a gaming console because it seems like there are bots out there that are designed by these flippers to go search for inventory and buy them up as soon as possible. Then they're able to go on eBay, sell it for 2x the price. They've just doubled their money very easily. I just saw this with a wristwatch. There was a release from Swatch. If you don't know what Swatch is, they are cheap Swiss-made course watches. They are not high-end items. There was a watch that came out, $260. They botched the release of it. So there were thousands of people outside the Swatch stores, and each of the stores only had about 100 watches. As I just said, $260. On certain websites, there are people actually bidding for those items upwards of $5,000. On one site, there are some listings for $11,000. $260 watch. Here's the problem with this. Not even limited edition. It's going to be in stock again in a couple of weeks. It's just stupid. That one's just stupid. But flippers are a big problem if there is a limited supply of an item. And it's easier to directly target your anger at them because they are a main contributing factor. They're artificially limiting supply. If you've seen The Office, there's a Christmas episode where Dwight goes and buys up all Princess Unicorn dolls in his entire city. He created an artificial limited supply. And he is now able to say, yeah, I'm not going to sell it to you for $20. I'm going to sell it to you for $500 because I have all the supply. You're desperate. Give me money, please. Monies, please. That's what these flippers are doing. So much more easy to hate. And 5, this is going to seem so out of left field. Low housing inventory. You're probably thinking, what is Bandrew doing? Is Bandrew drinking again? What's going on? Let me explain. Due to those prolonged low interest rates on savings accounts, you can also get very low interest rates on mortgages. And that has been the case since 2008, 2009. That leads to more people getting home loans and buying a home. Because you can get a 30-year mortgage, 3-4%. That's pretty darn low interest. So more people have been buying homes. And after the crisis in 2008, 2009, home builders weren't really rushing to build more homes because it seemed like there was a mass oversupply of homes available. So what are we at now? There wasn't enough supply of homes. Interest rates were artificially low. So all the homes are being bought up. They have been bought up over the last 10 years, 10, 12 years. So now you have people coming of age who want to buy homes. They've been saving up money. They are not able to buy homes because there's not sufficient inventory, which leads to prices skyrocketing. So you have millennials, Gen Y, and Gen Z. Are those the correct generations? They have money that they've saved up to buy a home, but they can't buy a home. So now they are looking for any place to put their money because as their money just sits in a savings account, they are losing 10% of that value. In 1 year, they can buy a home that's 10% worse, that's worth 10% less. So they are looking for anything. And I think that's why we see such a massive increase in demand in pretty much everything. All these hobbies, mechanical keyboards, sneakers, watches, gaming, they're looking for any way, anywhere to put their money that will allow them to not lose everything. Because inflation, 8, 10, 12% probably, 0% interest, you're losing a lot of money every single year. And as you've been saving up to buy a home, I think that's what's all contributing. I don't know if I'm correct. I was just trying to make sense of all of this. And it's how I see the entire situation. It's a multitude of factors all playing into one another as I punch my microphone because I'm so gosh darn angry. That's how I see it all playing out. And in the grand scheme of things, I understand hobbies aren't the most important thing. I think they are extremely beneficial for people. I am very happy that audio gear, knock on wood, has not gone this road because it seems like audio companies realize that having sufficient supply is a good thing. There has been a run on audio gear, and they could have easily gone the route of saying, let's just go ahead and increase prices and limit supply. No, if you looked at Shure, they just printed as many SM7Bs as they could. They just said, what? Demand is what? Yeah, let's meet it. And I am glad they went that route. So I hope that all of this gets cleared up. I don't know if it's going to. I doubt it will be any kind of quick turnaround, but it would be wonderful if Darren could buy all the Taylor Swift vinyls that he wanted, that everybody could buy all the mechanical keyboards and sneakers and gaming systems and watches that they want at reasonable prices. And if you are in one of these hobbies that's been become extortionate to be a part of, just be patient. With that $260 watch that's being sold for $11,000, why spend that much? I'll wait 2 weeks. I'll wait 2 weeks for it to sell on their website, and then I'll buy it for $260 instead of spending $11,000 or bidding $5,000, $6,000. And I also want to point out, the people who are flipping them, I kind of get it. The people who are spending their money, I don't really get it. It's their money. They're the ones who are wasting it. These flippers would not be able to do this if there weren't a bigger fool. I think that's the bigger fool theory. If there wasn't that bigger fool willing to spend $5,000 on a $200 watch, it just wouldn't happen. Yet there are people willing to do that. I don't know if that was interesting or worth talking about. It's just something that's been rattling around in my brain, and I wanted to talk about it.